So dogs are a thing here in Ecuador in many different ways. Also, right now, a lot of people are still experiencing power cuts in different ways, and we have had some rain, but we need a lot more. So, the dog thing. Usually, Kate takes Lucas for a walk every day. And when she gets back home, I always ask, "How was your walk?" Well, that's where the story begins.
So normally, I walk Lucas every morning, pretty early in the morning. We live in a beautiful part of the countryside of Cotacachi. And, over time, we've gotten to know all the dogs on our route. We made friends with everybody. Everybody's super cool. Today I woke up, and because of the rain, which we are super grateful for, it was a little cold this morning, and I got into doing other things, so I didn't walk right away. Later in the afternoon, after I had been working for a while, I felt like, okay, it's time. Let's get up and move some energy, and asked Matthew if he wanted to go with me, and he said no.
It's busy.
It was the middle of a work day, in all fairness. So we go on our walk, and it starts out great. It's a little overcast. It's not super hot. The sun's not trying to burn your face off or anything. And the first ominous thing that happened was I slipped the slippery part of the path because of the rain. But I caught myself, and I was like, oh, good job, you. I've been working out, steadier on my feet. Felt really good about that. And then I came around the corner, and there's a couple soccer fields close to us, and a water area, and Lucas and I are walking along, and across the water I see a older gentleman walking with two dogs, and I know immediately I need to get Lucas on a leash, right? So we have a collar that beeps or buzzes him. That's what gets his attention more than anything. So I beep him, he doesn't listen, I buzz him, and the other dog just bolts, starts running right at us. And I'm trying to get him and keep my eye on the dog, because we pay a lot of attention here, right? We are always, when we have him off leash, we're always scouting and aware. He usually does a very good job of coming. With two dogs, I had him, but he slipped the leash, and the black dog that was being super aggressive went away. But the white dog came in, and Lucas went to sniff, and that called the black dog back immediately. So now I'm struggling to catch him. I'm yelling no very firmly at the other dog. And here's the deal. There are a lot of loose dogs in Cotacachi. In Ecuador, really, if you do not love dogs, or if you are terrified of dogs, it might not be a good spot for you. In general, I'm not scared of dogs. I love dogs. Typically, and 80% of them are super chill. Probably more than 80% of them are super chill. Only rarely have dogs come in hard, and usually give them a firm no, and they back off. At least that's been our experience. Now, we do have friends that have been bitten, and there are lots of stories like that out there. It's all going to be your individual experience. This was the first time I felt like this could go really ugly. The dog was baring teeth and circling, and I'm trying to scoop Lucas up. And because it's a soccer field, there are soccer goals there that are metal, and I'm so focused on staying in between the two dogs and keeping them away, I run right into one of the metal poles. The other guy is yelling at his dog, trying to get him to come back, but that dog has no interest at all in listening. So I hit my head, terrified that, I'm going to take a big hit for this dog, because that's what would happen. I would never let another dog get to Lucas or anything bad happen to him. So anyway, I drop the buzzer, I get him corralled, or the little remote control thing. I get him on a leash. The other dog goes away, and catastrophe avoided. What could have been something really, really bad is totally dissipated, and everything's okay. But that's when, all your adrenaline is still coursing through your body, and I just immediately broke out into tears. And I'm only halfway through my walk at this point, so I'm trying to keep it together and passing all these people on the road, but I got a big, it's funny now, it was not funny then, a big knot on my head, and I can't keep my tears in. And then I realized I dropped the remote. So now I'm thinking, man, now I have to go back to this area, risk seeing that dog again, and thinking of everything I could have done differently, which is some of what I'm going to share with you. So then we're almost home. And of course, like, I step in cow poop because it was just the way the day was going. I get back home. I always wash Lucas's feet off with soap and water when we get back. If you have dogs here and you take them for walks, that's a good idea because they're stepping in all kinds of other animal doo-doo and things like that. So he always runs into the house first. Matt's in his office and he says, "How was your walk?" Just like he said in the beginning. And I went, "It was bad." Or he says, "Did you have a good walk?" And I said, "No." And he comes out immediately because he knows something's very wrong. And I recount this story all the way back to the dog poop. So now we do have this, along with having a collar for him and keeping a close eye out, we do have a little other handheld thing that we stole from our Kiwi friend Russ. Shout out to you, Russ, if you're watching. That's supposed to emit some kind of frequency that will get dogs to kind of stop in their tracks. And I am now going to start carrying that with me every morning when I go on a walk, just out of precaution. But I grabbed that. Matt went with me. We rode our bikes back down to this place, picked it up, and all is well that ended well. We got home, and I was going to go to the grocery store, but Matt wanted to take the motorcycle in, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And I thought, well, I mean, the day's already going so well anyway, right? Why not? This is where the day turns from kind of crappy to pretty darn good. As you walk back up Diaz de Agosto, there's a lot of little almuerzo places, and one of them is Doña Rosita's, what's it called? Hornado. And the smell coming from this place is just amazing. But sometimes it's hard for me to make up my mind. I was like, I don't know. There was another place a little further up, but we ended up walking into this place. Now, Hornado is whole roasted pig. And we don't eat a lot of pork. We don't eat a lot of meat in general, but man, it smelled so good. And there's not a lot of places you go where you walk in and the woman is like, "Welcome, basically, we're so glad you're here. Come in and sit down." And that's what Doña Rosita will do when you walk in. Within like 5 minutes, we had the most delicious plate of happiness put down before us, and it was amazing. And it was like, if I had kind of stayed in that crappy headspace of, oh, it's been a bad day, I'm just going to stay at home and be sad, and had ignored Matt's invitation, we both would have missed out on some delicious Hornado. I hope you're enjoying the pictures we're putting up, and if you're in Cotacachi, definitely swing by and have a delicious plate of Hornado if pork is your thing. We're kind of the belief that pork is the giver. It's an amazing giver. We translated that to Spanish, and she kind of smiled. I don't know if it made super sense.
It didn't work
in Spanish, but yeah, that's how you turn a not so great day into a really good day. So a lot of times people are asking, what's a day in your life? This is not a typical thing, but it is something we feel like sharing because dogs are going to be part of your experience. If you live here, there's just no way around it. And being in the campo, in the countryside, on your walks, you're going to see some things that are sad, some things that are going to really pull at your heartstrings. And I don't think that's unique to Ecuador by any means. I think that's just part of country life to some extent. And as we grow and evolve, our treatment of animals grows and evolves. And yes, it's not lost on me that I ate roasted pig after this. But you see good things that, 9 out of 10 times after a walk, I come back and I feel so good and happy. And then there's the occasional time where you see something and you're like, man, it's just really sad. But there are great organizations and wonderful people here doing everything they can to help with the dog population. And, Amici Canis, you may have heard of them, is one of them. And they don't call them street dogs, they call them community dogs, because it's all up to all of us to really be able to make a difference. So that's my story for today. Yeah, the rain has been great. We need a lot more of it after 60 days and a pretty intense drought. And this isn't even the rainy season. This is just a little pocket of rain that typically happens this time of year. It's going to take a lot more of it to get us through until the rainy season starts, I think in January or February.
Yeah, probably February.
So this is something to expect, if you move here, if you live here, you're in a place that the infrastructure's not that great. And we've heard stories of even people that lived in the States and regularly lost power. If you have to work, if you are a digital nomad, you're going to want to think about, how do I keep my internet up and running? And we did a little short on, some generator and power, backup power packs and things like that you might want to check out. Otherwise, keep doing that rain dance for us. It's something to be so happy to have rain here and then so just devastated and sad for what too much rain has done in certain parts of the U.S. right now, very close to where we came from and areas that we just loved visiting and cherished our time there. So our thoughts and our heart are with you all in those areas for sure. You want me to film a little of him?
Yeah.
Who's a good little buddy? Who was so good you didn't get eaten? Yes.
He's cute, but he's not the best reader of the room. He's pretty sure every dog wants to be his friend and
He's a
would
little
never
too
eat him
domesticated.
like a snack.
Yeah, he's not a killer.
Lucas.
Any closing words, Matthew?
I have nothing.
Flynn's on the fly.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Out.